Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Center Sports Talk Live with the one and only Harry Chaz. We're on a new channel tonight. We have an amazing guest who's going to be on very shortly. The one and only Ron Blomberg will be on the show. The first designated hitter in baseball, ex-New York Yankee, will be on the show. This is something you definitely do not want to miss. We're on a special channel for it. It's going to be great, and we're going to talk to him about all about the baseball history and how it was being the first designated hitter in baseball, being a Jewish player playing in Major League. I've gotten to speak to Ron in the past couple of days, and I got to tell you, he is a tremendous guy. Gives back to the community, and is great with children, and works with the New Jersey YA camps, doing all different type of things. We're not gonna waste any time. This is gonna be an amazing show. I want to get right at it. We're gonna see if he's gonna join us right now to get this going. We're gonna wait for him to get on. Hopefully this works. We are excited. Hopefully he will get on. Uh, hey Ron,
Hey, Harry.
how you doing?
Hey,
You did it.
this is fun. I love doing this. I just want to let you know this is the first time I've ever done this. I'm a novice at that. Just like, when you try to tell my wife how to do this, I'm the first at doing this. I was the first DH, and now I'm the first on the Instagram. And it's wonderful to be able to talk to people in Brooklyn. I know how hard a time it has been, and we're going to have a wonderful evening.
Yes, Ron, thank you so much, and I'm excited. I'm actually so excited you were able to get on, and with no glitches, nevertheless. So thank you, and to your wife for making this happen. I know this is new, and the people on the show are going to be super excited to hear your story. So for those who may not know who you are, which they should, you are the first designated hitter in Major League Baseball, which I believe was on April 6, 1973, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it is. But it's
Um,
not the designated hitter. I'm the designated Hebrew. Remember that.
Designated, the designated Hebrew. I love it. And we'll get into that because I know you have a book that's called The Designated Hebrew, and we'll get to that at some point. But I want to talk about, your history in the major leagues, being a Jewish grown player playing for the New York Yankees. Tell me what that was like growing up, how you got into baseball, and then obviously being drafted by the New York Yankees. Get into your story a little bit and how it all began.
Well, Harry, basically, I started baseball when I was young. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia, back in the 60s was a very, very small town. We did not have a lot of Jewish families. I think we
Hmm.
probably had maybe 50 to 60 Jewish families in the whole city. Most of the Jews, what they did was they played Little League, or, if you wanted to be a major leaguer, that was unheard of. And I
Hmm.
wanted to be a major leaguer all my life, but that was unheard of. When
Right.
you're growing up down south, you do two things. You become a doctor or a lawyer, or you go into a family business. And
Right.
I wanted to be a baseball player. So I was very, very lucky. I came up through a Little League, went to high school to play, and I was very, very lucky. I started getting scouted when I was in the ninth grade in high school. And when I became a senior, I got drafted by the Yankees, number one in the whole country in 1967.
Hmm.
I had a lot of basketball and football scholarships. I had a basketball scholarship. If I did not sign with the Yankees, I was going to go to UCLA, play with John Wooten in 1967 with Jabbar.
Wow. Wow.
And but let me tell you something. When I got drafted by the Yankees, 8 million Jews up there. I'm coming from a small city back in Atlanta at that time, and I said, "This is all my family. All my family are the Jews." So I had an opportunity to come up to New York City. It's the greatest city in the world. The Jewish community embraced me, from the Orthodox to the Reform to the Conservative. And the best thing in the world, I think I was related to every Jewish family in New York City. I think I lit a candle for everybody's bar mitzvah and everybody's wedding. So, I mean, I was related to everybody in New York City.
That's what it's like here. We're all one big family, that's for sure. So let's talk about being the first designated, hitter. When
Hebrew.
how did that
Hebrew.
Hebrew? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you
I'm
got it. No,
sorry.
no, 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 no. That's a Hebrew. Okay. Okay. Hit
You
it.
get
Okay.
it. But as far as being the first designated Hebrew in Major League Baseball, how did that position come about in baseball? Because not many people know where that all even started from.
Well, basically, it came in 1972. The attendance in baseball it was not really doing well.
Hmm.
Uh, the American League adopted what they called, at that time, it was a designated pinch hitter, okay?
Hmm.
Not a designated hitter. I had no idea what it was. Nobody had any idea what it was. You know what it's like, Harry? It's like, I don't know if you play stickball. I know your father probably played stickball in Brooklyn. And I know a lot of
Yes.
the parents probably played, or their parents played stickball. It's like if you cannot field, you hit. And uh,
Right.
and that's what it was. Unfortunately, I was down in spring training, down in Fort Lauderdale. I had a hamstring pull 5 days before we were supposed to break camp. Uh, our first game was up in Boston, up in Fenway Park against Louis Tiant, and I pulled a
Wow.
hamstring muscle. And I did not want to go at that particular time. It was pretty bad. And
Yeah.
I could have gone on the disabled list, but if you go on the disabled list, unfortunately, you don't know if they're going to send you down to the minor leagues or you're going to come back to. It's just like Lou Gehrig, Wally Pipp,
Right.
and when Wally Pipp went down, Lou Gehrig took his position. Wally Pipp never came back up. I always thought about that. So at that time, Ralph Houck, who was a manager, people remember Whitey Ford was a pitching coach. Elston Howard was a hitting coach, and Yogi Berra. And they came up to me and they said, would I be able to hit? And I said, yeah. I said, what do I do? And they said, only thing you do is when the pitcher's time to come up. Well, no, it wasn't no pitchers. So they put me number in the sixth slot. And
Okay.
so I hit, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I remember I walked with the bases loaded against Louis Tiant being the first DH. And that was
Wow.
right after it was the Boston Marathon, and then we played the baseball
The
game.
game.
Yeah, we played the game. And everybody thought Orlando Cepeda was going to be the first DH because he was batting fourth that game for the Red Sox, but I batted sixth. And luckily, we had a big inning, and Greg Nettles got a base hit. I came up with the bases loaded. I walked, and all of a sudden, I became the first. I had no idea it was going to be this big. Harry, nobody, let me tell you something. I thought it
It's
was
true.
I thought it was a big joke, and I did. It lasted, it was a year, then 2 years, then 3 years. Now it's 48 years. This is my
Crazy.
48th year being the first DH. People don't realize it's probably the second highest, well, other than Garrett Cole, who's making $400 million or whatever. It's the highest paid position player in the game of baseball. And it
Yeah.
saved so many people's lives. And, and Derek Jeter played, Reggie Jackson played, Donnie Mattingly was a DH, Derek Jeter was DH sometimes, Aaron Judge is a DH
Yeah.
because he's been injured. So it's a position player now. And people
Yeah.
had no idea. And people always ask me, would there be a DH in the Hall of Fame? I said, absolutely. And I always
Yeah.
would say Edgar Martinez was going to be the first DH. And he did. And,
Yeah.
to this day, wherever I go to, two things. When I go to New York, I'm up in New York every during the season. Unfortunately, with the problems that we have, and of course, I'm in Atlanta. You can't,
Right.
fly to New York. You can't get out or whatever. And there was two things whenever I used to go up to New York. Always would make a reservations, and I always say Ron Blomberg. two things
Right.
people would say. Now, were you the guy who was with the Yankees, the first DH? And I said, yes. And then they would say, are you related? If they didn't ask me that, they would say, are you related to Mayor Bloomberg? I said, yes, that's my uncle. So, I had, hey, I couldn't lose. I couldn't lose. So it's
You
been
were
really
good either
fun.
way.
It's really been fun. And you know what? I know that most of your audience are, Orthodox. And a real good friend of mine who has a radio show is Nachum Siegel.
Mhm.
And he has a Jewish program on. He was a big Yankee fan, a big Ron Blomberg fan. And I met him quite a few years ago, and we still stay in touch, and we're still real good friends. And he took me, one of the best delis in New York City was Mindy's. And I
Yeah,
don't know if you know where Mindy's is. It was
sure.
unbelievable. It was great. They took great care of me, and it's history.
So it's funny that you touched upon, the designated hitter position saving so many players' careers in a sense, because toward the tail ends of most people, like you said, Derek Jeter, it really did help them. And Don Mattingly, who was one of my favorite baseball players, growing up as a child, it helped prolong certain people's careers and being able to do what they love and may not be able to play the position that they were able to play as good as they were, as they once were. It really did help them. And I always found it interesting that the National League never adopted this, and it only stayed in just one league. And I never understood the reasons why.
I don't think anybody knows the reason, to be honest with you. I think when they did not adopt it, when the American League did, I think it was just they boycotted it, and it
Right.
kept on getting worse and worse and worse. And people don't realize, if you look at baseball now, it starts. Little League has the DH, high
Hmm.
school baseball has a DH, college baseball has a DH. Majority of the minor league teams has a DH. So, it is what it is. So they had to
Right.
eventually adopt it. And, it's a great position. And, when I played, it's a lot different what it is now.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the DH, they got, after they take it in a bat, they go down in the cages down below the stadium, and they take BP, where we had
Yeah.
nothing. The only thing I
Right.
did, if it was too cold, I would go up to the locker room, and I would eat all the spread. I would eat all the food. And when they come back after the ball game was over with, the food was gone. So, I had a good time. Let me tell you something, Harry,
It's
I had a
great.
wonderful time. Baseball was great to me. And even to this day, I always would tell the fans were the fans are the heroes. I was a player that lived my fantasy. I did something what I wanted to do. And even to this day, after I've been out of baseball since 1980, my last year, and now, look how, I'm 72 years old. I never thought it
God
was going to be
bless.
like this. And, but I love it. I love the fans in New York City. And that was one of the biggest things. The major reason why I signed with the Yankees, I wanted to go up to New York where all my brothers and where my sisters were, the Jews. And,
Yes.
they embraced me. I was their family. I was there,
Mhm.
even to this day. I'm a role model for so many Jewish kids.
Yep.
They do a lot of book reports about who's your favorite Jewish ball player. Now, they said, let's say Sean Green, or but I was way before them. But
Yes.
they would see Yankees, and
Right.
and then they would see me that I played, and then the father would say, "Yeah, I remember him. I was a little kid, but my father remember him." So
Right.
it's really has been wonderful. It's great. I gravitate to the fans in New York City. They're the best people in the world, and I just feel so bad for the people all the people in the whole world, what we're going through
Yeah.
now. And
Sure.
I see a lot of my friends who live up in Brooklyn, and they have restaurants in Brooklyn, and they can't even get out, and how bad it is. And I tell people we live in like the Twilight Zone. It's the day the earth stood still. We have changed the whole world, and it's something. But I always tell people, I think the guy up above thought we had so many things was too good, and he needed to make a change. And this is what happened. Hopefully, and we'll get out of this, and y'all get out of this, and
Amen.
we could play baseball again.
Amen. So to touch upon some other things that you do that many people may not know is that you also come up during the summer times and you work with with kids in the New Jersey Y camps, and you're giving your knowledge of baseball and speaking to them. A lot of the kids now, obviously in New York, are not going to be able to play travel ball or can't play organized baseball at this point. Their season is pretty much done. What do you think you could tell, these kids now during this time? What can they be doing in order to, sort of stay in shape and stay, with their mind being in shape during this, crazy time?
I know that the parents want to get them out of the house, and the parents are going nuts. I know the kids are going nuts. I know it's video plus. That's all they're doing, is watching video games and, watching Netflix. And, it's just only so much. I just tell, kids down here where we just opened up, we're a lot better than what y'all are up there.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's, you got to exercise. The most important thing in your whole life, you got to be mind, you could be mind looking at the computers, but it's only so much you can do. There's, you got to stay in shape mentally and physically. It's easy. If you don't belong to a gym, if you can't go to a gym, there's always easy to do. You can walk. You can walk fast. You could do push-ups. You could do sit-ups. You could do crunches. There's so many things that you can actually do. And, if you're playing baseball, you could take a ball, and your parents might not want me to say this, but you can throw the ball against the wall, but make sure you don't hit a window. And
right.
You could get a bat. You could swing a bat. But, do it like you're playing in the game. It's always something you can do. Because when I was growing up down in Atlanta, my parents had no money. And, I had one pair of shoes. And my parents, they could not take me to a sleepaway camp. They didn't have the money to do that, okay? But I understood that. And, I learned how to take care of myself. It's important to take care of yourself. And, you got to be mentally and you got to be physically, even in schoolwork. You can't just go to schoolwork and hopefully you're just going to pass a test. And, people, and I tell my kids, I'm very, very lucky.
It's preparation.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I got two kids are doctors, okay? And, both of them was excellent athletes, but not the athlete that I was. They're mentally extremely brilliant. They're very, very good. They're very personable, but they love sports. Sports is an outlet. It's an outlet for, you don't have to be great in it. Kids will say, well, I'm not too good at it. Big deal. You can play. It's nothing. Baseball is a sport. It's a sport, okay, that you can play, even if you're not good at it. If you can't hit a ball, catch a ball, whatever, teach yourself how to do it. If you're not good at it, you practice at it. If you're not good in mathematics, you practice at it. Harry, it's a very simple thing. Life is meant to enjoy. Enjoy yourself. God gave everybody some type of ability. Use it to the best of your knowledge and to the best of your health. And, I always tell people, like at my camp up there, and we got almost 6,000 kids up there. I've been up at my camp for 18 years. This was 100th year of our camp up in Milford, the New Jersey Y camp. And it killed me not to go up there. And, I do the specialty camps up there, and I've been doing it. And I talk to a lot of groups up there, all my kids, and they're wonderful kids. And I got autism kids. I got kids that some of them are, a lot of them really disabled. But, it's nice to help them. They love it. Like the kids I'm talking to now. They're at home. They're going nuts. They listen to an old guy like myself. Just give them a little bit of speech. Enjoy yourself. If you like sports, whatever you do, give 120%. If you don't give 120%, my saying, somebody will.
Yeah,
Somebody else.
your words are, so true, and I hope everybody who's watching and listening, or who listens later on, really take what you said, because it's important. And the game should always be fun and should be enjoyable, and it's an outlet of being able to, forget about the real world out there. And doesn't matter if you're good at it or not. Practice makes perfect, and that's why, it's very important that everybody understands that and knows that. I think I might be losing you over here. You still with me, Ron? Uh, Maybe might have lost you there, Ron. We're gonna hope for you to come back in a second. Oh, there you are. Okay. I thought I lost you for a second.
You scared me. I thought I lost you. I'm yelling to, hey, Harry, I'm yelling to my wife. I say, help, help. What do I do? Phones are ringing. Everybody's ringing. What do I do? You know what I do?
We're all good. We're all good.
Yeah, you know what? You seeing a guy that's doing this the first time, I'm going to practice at it. And kids out there, hey, you know how to do this, kids. I don't know
You're
how
doing
to
it
do
excellent.
it.
You're doing
guy,
it. You're doing it great, Ron. You're doing great.
Harry, you teaching me.
So let's go into your book called The Designated Hebrew. Talk to us about that and how that all began and what it's talking about.
Let me tell you something. In 1973, I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, Sporting News. I was hitting at that time, going in July, hitting 400. I had a 28-game hitting streak. Everything was wonderful. Everything was great. Okay. Then I pulled a hamstring muscle, and then I ended up from 400 to 328. And I remember I was sitting by my locker one day, and Dick Schaap, I don't know if you remember Jeremy Schaap. You probably remember Jeremy. Dick Schaap was his father, okay?
Right.
And, now, you're talking about the smaller age. The Jeremys. I know the Dick is the father, okay? So they came. I was sitting. Had a pull hamstring. And Jeremy and Dick, his father, who was with Channel 7, who was a sportscaster, came by my locker and said, Bloomy, what do you think? How was it being the first DH in Major League history? And I looked at him. For whatever reason, I said, what do you mean? The designated Hebrew? Like that. And I remember Jeremy and Dick said, once you retire, you need to write a book about your memoirs, about growing up down south, about, see, when I grew up, okay, the kids nowadays probably don't remember, or I don't know if you read about it. I grew up with a lot of the KKKs. Okay, down south back then was a very prejudiced city. Half my teammates were in the KKKs. On Friday nights, they would do their cross burning. I don't know if you ever seen Mississippi Burning. I don't know if you ever seen that movie. It's an old movie, but they had cross burnings, and I grew up with that. And 4 houses away from me was a Grand Dragon. And okay, now being a Jew and having the Grand Dragon, and half my teammates were in the KKKs, but they loved me because I was such a good athlete, and they were on my coattails. So I mean, they did not bother me. But I saw prejudice. Right. I saw a lot of problems. Okay, but my parents always told me, you need to not say a word. You're strong enough just to walk away. And that's what I did. So I wrote my book. In 2007, we sold almost about 46,000 copies of the book. I made no money on my book because I gave it all back to the Jewish organizations, the men's clubs, the shuls, and they just bought hundreds of them. They loved them for bar mitzvahs, weddings, Hanukkah. They just loved it. So after 6 years, they decided to bring my book back and into paperback. It came out like 2 weeks ago, and now it's a wonderful book. It's a great book. It's about me. It's about baseball, about growing up down south, making it big in New York City. How was it like to be Jewish and being an athlete living in New York City? Did I find any problems? I mean, it's a great book. It took me 1 year to write it, and it takes 15 minutes to read it. So, you know, if you go to my website is, I'm going to promote it because I'm very, very proud of
Please,
that book. It's really a
100%.
great book. Harry, it's really a great book. It's ronblombergyankees.com, and Bloomberg is 10. It's not like Mayor Bloomberg. It's 10,
Right.
Blomberg. The fathers, go to that website, uh, get the book for your kids. They'll love it. And I also donate a lot of the proceeds back to feeding the hungry and the homeless in New York City. And I'm very, very big with that. But everybody would love that book. And also, let me tell you, and I don't know if you know this, I just signed another book deal. A guy, his name is Dan Epstein, who used to be one of the editors of the Rolling Stone. We are writing a book. It's coming out the middle of March, about the captain and me, who was my roommate, was Thurman Munson, was my roommate for 5 years. We were writing a story about Thurman and what type of
Wow.
pranks we did, what we did. It's not just going to be a typical book. Like,
Right.
I hit 250. I hit a home run off of this guy. I ran around the bases. I fell over the bases. But these are stories about us, about the funny times on and off the field. So that comes out in March. My book comes out now, and it's a great book. And fathers, buy the book. You'll love the book, and it's a great present for anybody. And just read it because you'll love it.
No, I'm on the website now as we're speaking, and it looks amazing. And I'm definitely going to get my copy of it. And I wanted to say, Ron, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was an honor and an amazing getting to know who you are and to getting to know you a little bit better. And you're a tremendous person, and I wish you, tremendous success with the book again. And hopefully we'll be able to see you, back in Milford, Pennsylvania, in camps doing what I know what you love to do. But to stay strong, and hopefully we get to see you sooner rather than later.
Oh, we will. I mean, it's wonderful to be able to talk to the fans in Brooklyn and the Jewish fans, of course. And, I mean, they're my favorite, of course. Don't tell anybody, of course. And I love doing this. And I'm just going to say a word. And I learned this through my camp 18 years ago, because being from the South, we didn't have a lot of Jewish sayings. Okay. I learned mishbucha. And, and you're
Yep.
probably looking at me and you say, you really know this word, and
Yeah.
I'm going to say that you're my family. The people that I'm talking to, you're my family. I am in your family. I'm in your tribe. So I hope I represent you and your family in baseball. And, if you do get the book, you'll love it. You'll remember me. If you ever see me at Yankee Stadium, I'm up there working with the Steinbrenners all the time. If you see me, come up to me. Tell me that you heard me on Harry's show, and I would love, and hopefully I could shake your hand then.
I would,
Hopefully I
I
could
would,
shake your
I,
hand.
I would love to. And like you said, this was amazing, and I really appreciate you taking the time and to speak to us. And
Well, thank you very much, and I love your fans, and I'm just looking now. I'm pretty good at this, and I'm looking at all the your wow. Thank you very much. Awesome. I just want to say, fans and my friends and part of my family, I love you. Thank you very much.
thank you, Ron. I really do appreciate it. Have a great night and stay safe.
Same to you. Thanks, Happy.
Thank you. So yeah, that was truly amazing. Ron is just an amazing guy. I'm speechless. It's talking to an ex-Yankee and being a huge Yankee fan like I am is really amazing, and what he does for the community and what he did for baseball is outstanding. And I really hope one day down the road be able to meet him in person and not through through Instagram. But this was great. So again, thank you, Ron. It's I can't wait to buy the book and read the stories, and give it to my dad, and I'm sure he will love it as well. He was on and watching today. This has been truly an honor. I mean, get to talk to Ron, get to be on the Center SEC Live account, which is not a usual thing for me. I hope really everybody enjoyed this. We are, coming to the end of these Center Sports Talk Live for this season. We're going to have on Sunday my last guest being my dad, and we're going to have a great time. And he's going to share his sports life and what he's remembering, from back in the day. It's going to be great. It's really going to be great, and I can't find another way to, to end this season than interviewing my father. So, you guys will tune in for that. You will see the Instagram post for that hopefully soon. And again, wishing everybody a great night, an awesome weekend. Everybody, please stay safe, stay healthy. And this is the Center Sports Talk Live with Harry Chaz, the Scott Van Pelt lookalike, signing out. Have a great night, everybody.